Hi and welcome to the second episode of December Daily. This is Barbara from Vienna, Austria. We are going to be working with Daphne's diary today for both of these days. And I hope you've watched Irit's December Daily for yesterday. I will link her channel again below. She and I are alternating doing these December dailies. So please go check her out. She makes some awesome art journaling spreads as well. So I'm starting off using these gingerbread house images in the Daphne's diary. And just as I was about to start cutting them out, I realized they are perforated. So all I had to do was push those images out, which was a lot faster than if I would have had to cut them. So that was nice. So, and of course I wasn't going to use the whole image. All I wanted were those front and back parts of the house. So I wanted to try to cut them out so that they would be equal exactly in size, because I wanted to kind of make a little booklet out of them. So it was important that they would have the same size, and I wasn't sure that they would, but I figured they kind of should. So here I'm just folding one on top of the other to make sure that they do have the same size. Here I'm just trying to make them a bit more even. Checking the size for my journal, and I had to cut a little bit of that snow off to make it fit. So then I'm lining the inner piece with some coffee stained paper, so I'm just tracing out the shape and then cutting that out. And then I'm just going to glue that right over. Now I just do that on one of the inside pieces. That will be where I'm going to be journaling. So now I had to decide how will I make a booklet out of it. And I decided on something very simple. So I just folded that one part on the side and just gonna put some glue on that flap and then glue that onto the back piece, and that way I can easily open it. Just using my regular glue stick for that, just because I didn't want to deal with glue squishing out on the sides of this piece. Making sure that's lined up well. Trimming away some more pieces that weren't even. Next, of course, I'm distressing all the edges, front, back, and inside. And once that is in, I decided I want to cut out those windows in the front. So there were 4 of them. And I thought I would make my own windows. I just want to say I didn't have a plan for when I started with this. All I knew was I wanted to do something with this gingerbread house. And everything I'm doing now is just kind of coming along on its own, and as usual with these projects, they take a life of their own, which is so cool and so much fun. So now I take some tracing paper and I'm going to trace out the exact shape of the windows, including the frame of the window. And now I'm going to cut around that frame. Making sure that fits. And then I decide to try my hand with my koi watercolors. Now, I am no expert whatsoever with watercolors. Like, I rarely use them. I like them, but I rarely use them. I'm not experienced in them, so I'm kind of just experimenting, and I thought I would try to kind of have similar colors as they originally had. So I'm starting off with the most light yellow that I had, then moving on to putting a darker one in some of the places. Finally moving on to like a dark yellow. And I'm doing this while the previous paint is always still a little bit wet, because I wanted these colors to mix. And finally, there's a pretty deep orange that I'm putting around to make them kind of have a little glow. And since I have no patience, I am just drying that with my heat gun. And this is what it looks like at first, which I wasn't happy with because it was kind of too blotchy. So I go over it again with my brush to kind of soften that orange to make it mix more into the middle. And after drying that again, that is what they look like, and this I'm quite happy with. It looks like it has a nice warm glow from the inside of the gingerbread house. And so now I am going to stamp a word into each window. And the words I came up for were love, joy, peace, and hope, which I kind of was fitting for this time of year. And I'm using my archival jet black ink and my huge rollable stamp, and I always try the word before on somewhere else to see that it's aligned, the letters are aligned. And then I looked up these words to see, because originally I wanted 6 words, and I checked in the internet, they always had these 4 words, and then I thought, well, what is with these 4 words? Like, what's so special about them? And they are actually the words that you use as a symbol for each of the 4 candles on an Advent wreath. So I don't know if you are familiar with the tradition of the Advent wreath. We do use them here in Europe, I guess in most countries, or at least in the Catholic countries. In Austria we certainly do, and I grew up always having an Advent wreath in my family. And so each one of these words is like a symbol for the candles, and they are in that. So the first candle, so you have 4 candles around your wreath, and the first one symbolizes hope, the second one peace, the third one joy, and the fourth one love. And I guess there's a passage in the Bible for each of these. And I didn't even know that. Like, I grew up with the Advent wreath with the candles, but I did not know of these symbols. So that was very interesting and new to me as well. So after I have also made a border with some colored pencil to make that orange glow come through even a little more, I decided to make a hole to make a booklet. And so now I'm just inserting some eyelets, through which I am going to be putting some twine so that I can also tie it closed. So now I'm going to take my beautifully organized ribbon drawer. Again, if you haven't seen this video and want to see my KonMari method of dealing with these ribbons, then feel free to check out the link below. So I chose this red and white twine because I thought that would work very nicely with the Christmas theme. And I'm kind of tying it like I sometimes tie my journals. So I'm just tying one in each of the eyelets and tying those with a double knot so that I have 2 loose ends on each eyelet, which you can then use to tie a bow together to close your booklet or journal or whatever. The journal, obviously, I would use something a little more sturdy. Okay, now I have this booklet, and now, So these 4 words and the story with the Advent wreath inspired me to write about my memories of the first Advent with my family, because that was always when we got together as a family on the first Sunday of the 4 Advent Sundays before Christmas. And we would all sit together and eat roasted chestnuts, and of course my mom, and usually I would help her bake handmade cookies, Christmas cookies and tangerines, and my mom would always read from a Christmas book. So that was a beautiful time that I always really enjoyed. And the nice thing is that now after my parents have passed away, my oldest brother is carrying on the tradition of having us over with his kids as well. So that's really nice. So I have tied up my little booklet, and now I'm trying to figure out how to put that into my book. And I certainly didn't want to put it in a pocket because I thought it was too cute to just disappear in a pocket like that. So it needed a space of its own, which meant that I am going to put it in like a, what do you call it now? I forgot the word. Flip out? No, it's not a flip out. Insert? Well, you know what I mean. I'm just gonna attach it with some washi in the middle of the book. And interestingly, I found this Christmas washi in my Christmas box from last year, which had these exact same words on it. So can it be more perfect? So I'm putting the same washi on the front and the back, and I'm reinforcing it with some glue just to make sure that it sticks on nicely. So there it is, and I think that's pretty cute in my book. And now I'm just adding the date, December 2. And I realized that I forgot to add the date for the one for December 1. So I'm just adding that on that little pocket that we have made. If you missed that one, you can go check out my kickoff video. I will link that below as well. So next day, December 3, I'm again working in Daphne's diary. And this time I wanted to use an image of these beautiful dolls. So there's this lady who makes these adorable vintage style dolls, and immediately these photos reminded me of Maud Heemstra, who has also kindly provided us with the December daily prompts. Maud, I will link her channel down below as well because she has some lovely videos. Maud is from the Netherlands, and this, in my eyes, is like what Maud would look like as a doll. I think it's so adorable. And Maud used to make felt dolls for, I don't know, very, very many years. So I instantly had to think of her when I looked at these dolls, and they made me smile. But that is actually not the reason I wanted to add one of these in my journals. The other reason I wanted to add something, and especially the one that you'll see here that I chose, is because of the dress. So this seems to be a historical dress, maybe 18th century. I'm not as acquainted with which dresses were in which century, but I believe this might be 18th century. And this reminds me of a channel I have recently been binge watching and completely obsessed with, and I will link it down below. The girl's name is Bernadette Banner. Maybe some of you have heard of her or watched her channel. So she started a channel, I think a little over a year ago, where she aims to reconstruct historical dresses using historical sewing methods. And even though I'm totally not into sewing unless it's paper, and I'm not acquainted with historical dressing, I do think they are beautiful. And there's something about this channel that made me binge watch it. By the way, this is some dyed cheesecloth that I had received from Renee from GT Designs. She was the lady who gave me the Wonderful Flow book. So I just wanted some of that underneath this illustration because, or a photo actually, because it kind of resembles the same color as the top of the dress that this lady is wearing. So I thought that would go very nicely. So yeah, so I've been watching Bernadette sew her dresses, and there's a lot of hand sewing involved. And for the longest time I was trying to figure out, why does this fascinate me so much? Why am I binge watching all her videos on making historical dresses when that's not really my thing? And the more I thought about it, the more I came to the conclusion it is probably because this hand sewing, first of all, it's very relaxing to watch. I mean, it's not that you see her hand sewing the whole time, you just see little parts of it. But the whole idea of her making historical dresses in this fashion kind of makes, I don't know how to explain it. It's like the slow pace of it all. It's like stepping away from the hectic day-to-day lives and social media and everything, and just appreciating making something by hand, whether now it's working in your journal or sewing the garment. It's just this time out, right? And this relaxing, you are productive, but you're relaxing at the same time. And it's just this coming down from the daily stress. I think that's what it is that I'm enjoying so much. And in addition, I'm learning a lot of things that I will probably never use, but I think are fascinating anyway. So, and it's also the appreciation of things that are made by hand and loving the things that you have. And for example, with clothing, in this case, to appreciate the clothes that you have instead of always buying these fast fashion pieces that we then just throw away a couple years later and that go out of fashion the following year. And that you just appreciate your clothes, that you have good quality clothes, that maybe you don't have as many, but they are good quality, and you're actually willing to mend them when they get holes or something, rather than just throwing them out. So this is the concept I love, and that is really attracting me to her channel and to what she does. And I think you can apply that to many things in your life. And yeah, so I think it's worth checking her out. She's fun to listen to. So maybe I should get back to what I'm actually doing here. So I made this tag, and then I took so these are papers that were in the Your Creative Studio November box. And so I'm making a little tab on the top by just, I just cut a piece out and folded it in half and inked it up. And I stamped the word obsessed on the bottom, because now in the back I'm actually going to be journaling about Bernadette's channel and how I'm totally obsessed with it. It's like for the past, I think, at least 2 weeks, 2 to 3, no, more, 3 to 4 weeks, I've just been binge watching her videos. I think I'm almost done. And yeah, I don't know, it's led me to some other channels that are also interesting, and I've been watching some historical documentaries about the life back then and how servants used to live, and just getting from one thing into the other, and it's just all very fascinating. So go check out Bernadette's link if you're at all interested in historical clothing or anything like that. So the tag was done, and now I'm trying to find a place to put it. And first I thought maybe I can just slip it in one of the tuck spots or pockets that I already had made, but then I realized that is totally not going to do, because how does the bunny fit together with the dress? So I had to find another solution. So I went back to the magazine and I cut out this part of the sewing table or working table of this artist, and there's a piece there with some kind of tool. I don't even know what the tool is. Maybe it's some old scissors, something like that. And so I thought that would work well for a tuck spot for this tag to stick with the theme. So I cut out this kind of weird shape because the picture had a part in it that I didn't want showing. So I'm going to back this with my beige cardstock, which is 200 GSM, to give it some more stiffness, because the paper of course is flimsy. And since I was too lazy to take out my sewing machine, or I should say to change my thread, I decided for once to do some faux stitching. So I have this dark blue gel pen and just drew some tiny stitches and thought that looked okay. I mean, I kind of wish I would have stitched it, because having that extra texture of course adds a whole nother dimension and feeling, but yeah, I was too lazy and I have to accept that. And now I'm taking my 3-in-1 glue to adhere this tuck spot. And finally I'm going to stick my tag in there, and I really love how that turned out. Very happy with that page. So that was it, December 2 and 3. Tomorrow again, Irit will have a video up for you. And I hope you're enjoying this series. I hope you're keeping up with your December daily. Even if you can't do it daily, it's totally fine. You do what you can when you have time. And I hope you enjoy it. So thanks for watching. Hope to see you soon. Bye.